We hear so many stories, bro, whether they're true or not, about racism in wrestling and not enough black people in wrestling. We hear so many stories like that. Why not do a storyline based on that? You know what, man? If people can't handle it, then don't watch.
All right, let's go to Bobby Lashley being an interesting topic of late, not only debuting in AEW against Swerve Strickland, but also being a subject of a lot of scrutiny in a lot of ways based on being in a podcast recently. HT, Hat Trick to the Lame Guys podcast, having him on recently. He had an interesting angle that we'll talk about here in a minute. Let's first go to his debut. So basically the original Hurt Business. Now, I don't think AEW will further kind of map out what they're called and what they're all about and what their assignment in the AEW is. But we've got MVP Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley back as a trio now in AEW. Bobby Lashley had a face-to-face with Swerve Strickland. Shelton Benjamin he goes for Shelton Benjamin. Shelton Benjamin ducks, attacks Swerve Strickland, and Bobby Lashley attacks Swerve Strickland, and the trio is back again. Vince Russo, what do you do with this second version of the Hurt Business we see in AEW?
You think you know all the wrestling stories? There's more you haven't heard yet. Join us on Backstage Pass.
I'm going to do what I would always do, bro, and I'm just going to make it real. I'm just going to make it real. We hear so many stories, bro, whether they're true or not, about racism in wrestling and not enough black people in wrestling. We hear so many stories like that. Why not do a storyline based on that? You know what, man? If people can't handle it, then don't watch. I mean, that's what I do. I am so sick and tired for all these wrestling matches for the sake of having wrestling matches with nothing behind it whatsoever. So if you're going to talk about that in the business, then let's do an angle and let's do a storyline around it.
Fair to say, that would be interesting. But do you think it falls into the stereotype if they're a heel faction, though?
Not really, bro, because it all depends on the way they present it. And the beauty of this is MVP's very intelligent. So he can present this on an intellectual level. He could present this based on facts. He could literally make a case for it that would make people think about it. And that would put Tony Khan in a very uneasy position. And I think that's the perfect guy that can do that.
I think putting them in the suits helps. I think it makes them feel elite. I think that helps them as a faction. I always liked that about them as a faction. They felt elite. I appreciate that. It just rubs me the wrong way, man. Just having them as heels. Like, okay, yeah, we're black wrestlers and we need justice, and it's like we need to be known and recognized. And it's like, but
Chris, you can do it in a way. And like I said, they're lucky to have a guy as smart as MVP because they could do it in a way that they're not heels. Because if they're telling the truth, if they're telling the truth and the fans want to boo them, boo away. But if they are laying down the facts, you are going to have a portion of your audience saying, you know what, they're right. And if you're presenting facts and numbers and you're doing it in a calm way and a respectful way, you are going to have a part of your audience saying, you know what he's saying is true. I mean, again, bro, listening to Martin Luther King. Whether you're white, it doesn't matter. You listen to him and you're like, yeah, bro, the dude's right. You know what I mean?
And I think that would be the cool booking challenge, though.
Yeah.
I think the cool booking challenge would be, hey Tony, how can you make this elite looking black trio who's saying that they're being underutilized and overlooked? How can you creatively make that in a way that they're being cheered for the truth that they're experiencing? That would be the cool booking challenge into that.
Bro,
I don't think so.
The cool booking challenge is this conversation isn't even had with Tony Khan. The true booking challenge is go to the talent.
Sure.
MVP, Bobby Lashley, Shelton. This is what we want. This is what we need. What are your ideas in pulling this off? Bro, do you know the ideas that those three would have? Tony Khan's going to immediately go to freaking wrestling.
Yes.
And it will suck.
Yes.
You've got three very intelligent veterans. I promise you they would know what to do.
Yeah, that would be interesting. And do you see when you think of like an MVP or something like that, or a really good veteran mind like that? Do you think even the veteran minds have fallen prey to wanting to have good matches, since that's such the wave of professional wrestling nowadays?
Yeah, I don't think veterans do, bro. I really don't.
Yeah. We also had an issue, a situation where some people will call an issue, some people won't. If you know how to separate the two between real life and storyline, make-believe, etc. Bobby Lashley was recently on the Lame Guys podcast, and he pitched an idea that he wanted to wrestle Gunther, and he didn't feel like he had an opportunity by Triple H to really use him to his fullest capacity. And he talked about how he wanted to have a feud with Gunther, and Gunther tell him, like, we don't wrestle you kind of guys. I'm paraphrasing. And then that caused a lot of tension and oohs and ahs. And then Bobby Lashley has a thumb type of gesture, which is akin to a Hitler mustache and so forth. And so that caused a lot of buzz in a negative way toward Lashley. But Vince, as someone who is a writer, could you have approved that storyline, keeping it in the realm of this is wrestling, this is make-believe?
1000%, because that's the level I write at. Because think about this. If Bobby's line was, I wouldn't give a title shot to people like you. People like you. Okay? That can mean anything. And now if I'm Gunther, I'm turning it on Bobby, saying, Bobby, what does that mean to you? What does that mean to you? People like you, what do you think I'm saying? And then the heel can almost say, who's the racist one here? Why is that idea already in your head? I wasn't talking anything about that, but you could make such a great story out of that. But Chris, I say this all the time. You have to know how to do it. Tony Khan running around with a freaking book with 27 columns long, and this guy's wrestling that guy, and then this guy. No, bro, something like that will never happen. You would have been able to write a great storyline off of that.
Why do you think he's receiving so much negative flack in the pro wrestling community about that?
Because people want something to talk about and complain about and biatch about all the time, bro. Bro, you have a good percentage of our population that they are not happy unless they're bitching about something, bro. So who cares? That could have made such an interesting angle on television.
Yeah, indeed. This guy right here is Vince Russo. I'm Dr. Chris. This is the Writing with Russo show. Have a good night, everybody. Solo.